The doll that shouldn't exist. There are dolls and then there's her. Most haunted objects have a past, a tragedy, a crime, a ritual. But this doll, no one even remembers where she came from. That's the terrifying part. It all started in 1968. Donna was a nursing student living in Hartford, Connecticut. 24, focused, and skeptical of anything that couldn't be proven by science. She shared a small apartment with her best friend, Angie, who worked as a medical technician. For Donna's birthday, her mother gave her a vintage Raggedy Ann doll she found at an antique shop. It was meant to be sweet, nostalgic, a reminder of childhood. At first, the doll sat quietly on the couch, just another cute thing in their modest home, until it started moving. Not a big movement, nothing dramatic, but day after day, Donna and Angie began noticing the doll in places they hadn't left it. One morning, it would be seated by the window. That evening, it would be on the floor. At first, they laughed it off, blamed each other, thought maybe one of them moved it without realizing. But soon, the movements became precise. One night, Donna set the doll on the couch before heading to bed. The next morning, it was kneeling at the front door, hands flat on its cloth knees, head tilted slightly forward almost like it was praying or waiting. Donna called Angie in. "I didn't do that," Angie said, voice low. "Neither did I." From then on, things escalated. The doll moved more often, sometimes even when they were home. They'd walk into a room and find it facing the corner, or lying face down on the kitchen counter. Then the notes started appearing, scraps of parchment, folded, handwritten in a childlike scrawl. "Help us. Help Lou. Please." They didn't own parchment. They didn't own a childlike pen. And Lou was Angie's boyfriend. He never liked the doll. From the very first time he saw it, Lou said something was wrong. He even told Donna to get rid of it. "This thing gives me the creeps," he said. "It's not just some dumb toy." One night, Lou had a dream, or what he swore wasn't a dream. He was lying on Donna's couch, trying to nap. He felt something moving over him, crawling slowly. He opened his eyes. The doll was on his chest, and then it began strangling him. Lou woke up gasping, drenched in sweat. There were scratches on his chest, 3 deep claw-like marks that hadn't been there before he slept. That was the last straw. Donna and Angie called in a medium. The woman sat in the living room, eyes closed, hands over the doll. "There's a spirit," she said. "A little girl named Annabelle Higgins." She explained that Annabelle had died in the apartment building years ago, back when it was just a field. Her body was never found. "She's lost," the medium whispered. "She sees Donna and Angie as kind. She wants to stay with them. She wants to be loved." Moved by the story, Donna did the unthinkable. She gave Annabelle permission to stay. That night, things got worse. Objects began levitating. Doors opened and slammed without cause. Footsteps echoed down the hall when no one was home. And Lulu was attacked. This time he wasn't dreaming. He was alone in the apartment. Donna and Angie had gone out for groceries. Lou had stayed behind. Lying on the couch, watching TV, he heard rustling, then a soft giggle. He stood, thinking maybe Donna had come back early. But the door was still locked. He turned it and there was the doll, standing upright, standing on 2 legs. Then it lunged. Scratches bloomed on Lou's chest and arms. He stumbled backward, hit the floor. When Donna and Angie came home minutes later, they found him huddled in the corner, white as a sheet, shaking. "No more," he said. "Get rid of it." Finally, they listened. They reached out to a local priest, who then contacted paranormal investigators, Ed and Lorraine Warren. The Warrens had seen many things in their time, but when they entered the apartment, Lorraine turned pale. She didn't even touch the doll. "It's not a little girl," she said. "It's something pretending to be one." She explained that inhuman spirits often use deception. They prey on empathy, sadness, and loneliness. Once invited in, they feed on trust until they can hurt or even possess. This doll is a conduit, Ed added. It's being used by something dark. Donna and Angie were horrified. They'd believed they were helping a lost child, but the Warrens knew better. They took the doll, sealed it in a holy case, blessed it, prayed over it. As they drove away, the car's brakes failed, twice. Only after a final round of blessings did they reach home safely. They placed the doll in their occult museum, inside a locked glass box with a handwritten warning. Do not open. Positively do not touch. To this day, Annabelle sits there, but even behind glass, visitors report seeing her blink, or smirk, or shift slightly when no one is looking. The museum staff refuses to speak to her. They avoid looking into her eyes, because she's not just a doll. She's a mask for something that should not exist. And the worst part? She was never invited. She found them. A gift with a dark secret. The box was old. Faded pink ribbon tied around chipped corners. The cardboard, soft and worn, carried the musk of forgotten years like something left too long in a grandmother's attic. Donna smiled when she saw it, not knowing she was about to unwrap something far darker than nostalgia. Her mother handed her the box with warm eyes and a gentle touch. I thought you'd like her. Reminded me of the one you had as a little girl. She peeled the paper away slowly. Inside was the doll. Hand-stitched face, bright red yarn hair, black button eyes that caught the light in strange ways. It was a raggedy and ordinary innocent, except it wasn't. That night, Donna set it on the armchair across from her bed, just for comfort. Something familiar. The next morning, the doll was on the floor. She didn't think much of it at first. Maybe she'd knocked it over while grabbing her robe. But it kept happening. She would place the doll neatly in one spot and find it in another. On the third day, it was in the kitchen, seated at the table. Angie laughed. Okay, seriously. You're pranking me, right? Donna shook her head. I thought you were. That night, the air felt heavier. They tried to ignore it, tried to explain the little things away. The misplaced keys, the flickering lights, the creaking floorboards at the same time, 3:08 a.m. But there was no explanation for the note. It was a Sunday morning. Donna was heading out for her hospital rotation. She grabbed her bag, and there wedged between her notebook pages was a small folded piece of parchment. Childlike handwriting, no signature. Miss me. She froze. Angie was still asleep. Lou hadn't visited all weekend. Her fingers trembled. The parchment felt old, not like anything they had in the house. That evening, she confronted Angie. No joke, I swear, Angie said. I haven't even touched that thing. So they decided to test it. They placed the doll in Donna's locked bedroom, shut the door, put a strip of masking tape across the frame. Then they left the apartment for the night drove to Angie's parents' place 30 miles away. When they returned the next morning, the tape was still intact, the lock untouched, but the doll was in the hallway, face down, arms splayed, one leg twisted. Donna opened the bedroom door. Everything inside was perfectly still, except for one thing. Her bed sheets had been pulled back just slightly, as if someone had crawled in during the night. She backed away, her breath hitched. That night, she dreamed of a girl with hollow eyes whispering through cracked lips. You said I could stay. The next day, Lou stopped by. He had a key. He let himself in. Donna and Angie were still at work. He wasn't planning to stay long, just grab a book he'd left behind. But something felt off the moment he stepped in. The air was still, unnaturally so. He glanced around. The doll wasn't on the couch. Good, he muttered. About time they got rid of you. He turned to leave, but a sound stopped him. A soft shuffle, coming from Donna's bedroom. He approached slowly. The door creaked open. No one inside. Just the doll sitting on the bed, upright, staring straight at the door. He took a step in. That's when something invisible pushed him. Hard. He fell back against the wall, hitting his head. For a split second, the room spun, and in that instant swore he saw her. A girl, pale, long black hair, eyes sunken like burnt holes, standing right behind the doll. When he blinked, she was gone, but the scratches on his neck remained. 3 long, deep gashes. That was the moment Donna and Angie decided to seek help. They weren't sure where to go. The police, no. They'd laugh. A priest, maybe. Instead, they found a local spiritualist named Evelyn through a friend at the hospital. She arrived that evening, dressed in soft linens, holding a small satchel of herbs and beads. She didn't touch the doll. She didn't even enter the room. She simply stood in the hallway and closed her eyes. "This is no child," she whispered. "No innocent spirit." "What is it?" Angie asked. Evelyn opened her eyes. "It's masking itself, pretending to be something small, something harmless. But it's not. It's old, angry, and it has plans." The words hit like a cold wind. Donna's voice trembled. "But my mom just found it in a store. It's just a doll." Evelyn looked at her. "Do you know the store's name?" Donna shook her head. She didn't say. "Did she mention where it was?" "No, just that it felt like a special find." Evelyn paused. Sometimes these objects don't choose a place, they choose a person. Later that night, Donna called her mother, asked her about the doll. Her mother paused, then said, "That store's gone now. I only found it because I got lost that day. It wasn't even on the map. The man who sold it to me said it had been left behind by a woman who moved suddenly. She was scared of it, said it brought bad luck. But it looked so sweet I thought it would make you smile." Donna didn't sleep that night. She sat in the living room, watching the doll, waiting for it to move. But it didn't. It didn't have to. At 3:08 a.m., the hallway lights flickered. The front door rattled. And in the silence, she heard a girl's voice. Not inside the apartment but behind the walls. "Don't forget me." Angie had her own encounter the next day. She was brushing her teeth when the mirror fogged up, thought there was no steam. And written in the condensation were 4 words. "I live with you." They finally agreed. This wasn't a haunting. It was a presence. One that had been invited. One that refused to leave. Donna remembered what Evelyn said. Spirits gain strength through permission. And she had given it. That kindness, compassion had opened a door. She needed to close it. They brought the doll to the local church. Father Marcus, a young but sincere priest, accepted it. He placed it in a small wooden chest and promised to pray over it. But hours later, Donna received a call. The church had experienced a small fire. Nothing else was damaged except the box. The doll, gone. Later that night, it was back in their apartment, seated on Donna's bed, hands folded, a note in its lap. "You let me in." That was when they found the Warrens. Ed and Lorraine had seen everything from possessions to poltergeists, but something about this case disturbed them more than most. They didn't just take the doll. They bound it, wrapped it in rosaries, doused it in holy water, placed it in a sealed case lined with sacred texts. "We don't destroy these things," Ed explained. "We contain them, because if you destroy the vessel, you risk releasing what's inside." Lorraine nodded. "And this one, it's patient, but it's never done." They took the doll to their museum, locked it behind glass, and added one more warning. "Do not mock, do not taunt, do not open. Because the moment you give it attention, the moment you believe just a little, that's when she smiles. Something moves at midnight." It always happened at the same time. 3:08 a.m. The hour no one wanted to be awake. Donna had tried everything: sleeping pills, background music, even sleeping at Angie's parents' house. But still, at exactly 3:08, she jolted awake. And she knew something was there. It wasn't just a feeling, it was real. A pressure in the air, a silent force watching her, breathing with her. After the Warrens took Annabelle, there was a brief calm. Days passed. No scratching on the doors. No whispering from the walls. But on the fourth night, it came back. Donna was lying in bed when her room grew cold, icy, like the window had been opened. But it hadn't. She pulled the blanket over her chest and stared at the ceiling. Then she heard it. The softest sound, like cloth dragging along the floor. Something moving. She sat up, heart pounding. There was nothing at first, just the stillness of night. Then tap. A gentle knock, coming from her closet. Tap. Again. She grabbed her phone and turned on the flashlight. Slowly, she slid out of bed and walked toward the closet. Her hand hovered over the knob. It was freezing. Her breath turned to mist. She yanked the door open. Nothing, just clothes, shoes, darkness. She stepped back, breathing hard. Then the smell hit her. Rotting paper, old wood, and something else like iron, like blood. She turned back toward her bed and froze. The sheets were pulled back again, exactly how they'd been that night. Her stomach dropped. She hadn't left them like that. And on her pillow something small and folded. A note. "You forgot me," she screamed. Angie came running from the next room. Donna was on the floor, holding the note in shaking hands. Angie grabbed it and read it silently, her mouth tightening. "I thought they took it away," she whispered. "They did." Angie looked around. "Is it here?" Donna shook her head. "I don't think it ever left." The next day, they went to see the Warrens again. They were cautious, calm. But when Donna told them what happened, Lorraine's face darkened. "We locked the doll," she said quietly. "But that doesn't mean the attachment was broken." Ed nodded. "The invitation still stands. What was drawn in may linger even if the object is sealed." "So what do we do?" Donna asked. "How do I get rid of it for good?" "You don't," Lorraine said. "But you can reclaim your space. It takes time. It takes intention." They gave Donna and Angie a series of prayers, blessing rituals, holy water, and one more warning. Never speak to it. Never acknowledge it. The more you give it attention, the more it grows. They followed the instructions. Every night, they blessed the apartment, sprinkled the doorframes, read the prayers aloud. For 5 days, everything was silent. Until the 6th night. Donna woke again, 3:08. The room was colder than before. The mirror had fogged over, thought the air was dry, and in the mist was a single word: stay. She wiped the mirror. It smeared. Her fingers tingled like they'd touched static. From the living room came the softest rustle. She stepped out. No lights on, no TV. But the chair across the room was rocking, slowly, back and forth, and on the cushion, a red thread, the same yarn Annabelle's hair was made of. Donna didn't scream. She couldn't. She just backed away, her legs numb, her breath shallow. In the morning, she called her mother. She needed to know everything, every single thing. Where exactly did she get the doll? "I told you," her mom said. "That little place on Evers Road." "There's no Evers Road," Donna whispered. "I looked. It doesn't exist." Her mother went quiet. "It did," she said slowly. "I swear it did." Later that day, Donna received a message from someone unexpected. Lou. They hadn't spoken since he'd moved away after the scratches, after the incident in her apartment. But now he was reaching out. "Can we talk?" They met at a diner off the interstate. He looked thinner, pale, nervous. "I've been dreaming about her," he said, "every night since you called the Warrens." Donna stared. She's standing in a hallway, holding the doll, but the hallway goes on forever, and she keeps getting closer, every night. He rubbed his face. "Last night," she smiled. Donna whispered, "Have you ever answered her?" "No," Lou said. "But I think she wants me to." Donna didn't know what to say. Something in her chest twisted. Guilt. She had let the spirit in. Even if it was a trick, even if it wasn't truly Annabelle Higgins, it was her voice that invited it. And now it was everywhere. Not just in the doll. In mirrors, in dreams, in memories. That night, Donna and Angie performed a deeper blessing. They lit white candles, chanted louder, covered every room, every corner. They felt the energy shift, like something angry was being pushed out. But at exactly 3:08 a.m., every candle blew out. At once, a blast of cold surged through the apartment. Doors slammed. The air became thick, suffocating. Then silence, and from the hallway footsteps. Slow, barefoot. Donna clutched the cross necklace around her throat. Angie whispered a prayer. The footsteps reached the living room, paused, then turned back. They didn't sleep after that. The next morning, everything seemed fine. Nothing moved, no smells, no fog mirrors. They thought maybe it worked, until they found the photos. Their picture frames, every single one, had been opened. The photos inside were cut, not torn, cleanly sliced with something sharp. And in each of their faces, the eyes were missing, cut out. Angie dropped one of the frames. It shattered. Inside the back panel was another note. "You're mine now." Donna called the Warrens in a panic. They came that same night, brought a priest with them. They blessed the entire apartment again, this time using salt, incense, crucifixes. Ed held up a candle. The flame flickered wildly every time he approached Donna's closet. "I think this is where it started," he said. He opened the door, and there, in the far corner, was something they hadn't seen in weeks. The doll, Annabelle, but not in the glass case. Just sitting there, waiting. Lorraine gasped, "It's impossible. We locked it." Ed reached out, slowly, and touched its arm. His hand recoiled instantly. "It's burning hot," he said, "like it's been in a fire." The priest stepped forward. He began the rite, loud, commanding. The doll didn't move, but the house did. The walls trembled, the lights blew, and from every dark corner, a whisper. "She said I could stay." The rite lasted nearly an hour, and when it was over, the doll was placed into a new, sealed container, stronger, blessed, reinforced with holy writings. The Warrens promised they would never let it loose again. But Lorraine warned, the presence may linger, not because of the doll, but because it was welcomed. And once something is given a name and a home, it never forgets. That night, Donna lay in bed. No fog, no cold, no sound. She closed her eyes, but when she blinked again, it was 3:08 a.m., and on her nightstand was a single thread of red yarn. Blood on the walls. It began with a smell, not the old, musty kind Donna had gotten used to, not rotting fabric or stale air. This was sharp, metallic, familiar in a way that made her stomach churn. Blood. She walked into the hallway and stopped. The light above flickered faintly, casting the walls in a sick yellow tone. Angie stood near the bathroom door, frozen. "Donna." Her voice was a whisper. Donna stepped closer. There, on the hallway wall, written in deep, red streaks, was a single word. "Return." The paint, or whatever it was, dripped slowly down the wall. Except it wasn't paint. Donna moved closer, squinting. Her nose wrinkled. The smell was real. This was blood. Fresh. They didn't scream this time. They couldn't. It was almost like their minds had numbed to the horror. The night before, the Warrens had taken the doll, again, sealed in a new case, locked away. Yet here it was, another message, another threat. They didn't call anyone that night. They just sat on the couch, knees drawn to their chests, listening to the silence stretch and warp around them. Neither one dared to sleep. At 3:08 a.m., the hallway light went out. For a moment, the apartment was swallowed by darkness, and then slow, lithe blood on the wall began to drip again. Donna turned her head away. Angie whispered prayers. Neither one got up. By morning, the writing was gone. Completely. No stains, no traces. Nothing. But the smell lingered. And Worshidona's crucifix necklace, the one she'd worn for years, was missing from her neck. They searched the apartment, turned everything upside down. No sign of it. That afternoon, Donna received a package. No name, no return address. Inside, wrapped in a piece of black cloth, was her crucifix. Twisted, melted, burnt into a warped, unrecognizable shape. And tucked beneath it, another note. "He can't help you now." Angie begged Donna to move. Leave the apartment. Start over somewhere new. But something held Donna back. It wasn't just fear. It was the sense that wherever she went, it would follow. "You don't get to walk away from this," she said. "It chose us. I let it in. And now it wants something." "What does it want?" Angie asked. Donna looked toward the hallway. "Me." They reached out to the Warrens again. This time, Ed was quiet on the phone. "We've never had a case like this," he admitted. "It's almost as if the attachment wasn't to the doll but to the moment you welcomed it. That act gave it more than a home. It gave it power." "So how do I take it back?" Donna asked. "You can't take back a welcome," Lorraine said gently. "But you can refuse the invitation from now on. Strengthen yourself. Surround yourself with light. Purge the darkness." They gave her steps, holy relics, prayers. But Lorraine added one final warning. "Do not engage with it. Do not challenge it. It feeds on confrontation." That night, Donna and Angie prepared. They lit blessed candles, played hymns on a loop. They burned sage in every room, careful not to miss a corner. For a while, everything was calm. Then the lights went out. All at once, the air turned ice cold. From the kitchen came a sharp crash. They ran in, hearts pounding. Every cabinet was open. Dishes shattered, knives on the floor. And on the far wall, written again in blood, "She's mine." Below it, smaller, almost childlike, another message. "I never left." Angie dropped to her knees, sobbing. "I can't stay here," she whispered. "I can't do this anymore." But Donna stared at the wall, fists clenched. Something inside her had changed. This was no longer about fear. It was about reclaiming her life. "I'll finish it," she said, "even if I have to face it alone." The next day, she visited an old chapel on the edge of town. The priest, Father Raymond, had been a friend of the Warrens. He listened carefully as Donna told her story. "I don't know what it is," she said, "but I feel it's not finished, that I haven't seen the worst." He nodded solemnly. "It doesn't want to scare you," he said. "It wants to own you. Fear is just the tool." He handed her a small wooden box. Inside, holy water, a St. Michael medal, and a cloth-wrapped crucifix. "This one," he said, "won't melt." That night, Donna sat alone in the apartment. Angie had gone to stay with her sister. Everything was quiet. She lit 3 candles, placed the crucifix on the table, and opened her Bible. She read aloud Psalm 91. "He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty." The temperature dropped. She kept reading. "You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day." Then came the sound, a slow, dragging scrape across the ceiling. It moved from one side of the room to the other. She kept reading. A knock at the door. 3 sharp raps. She ignored it. The knock came again. Then the voice. From the other side. A girl's voice, soft, sad. "Please let me in." Donna gripped the Bible tighter. "Please," it whispered. "You said I could stay. I'm so lonely." She closed her eyes. "Leave this place," she said. "You are not welcome." The air turned violent. The candles blew out. The crucifix slammed to the floor. The walls groaned. And then, blood began to pour from the walls, from the corners, from the cracks, thick, red, and real. Donna backed into the kitchen, heart pounding, her socks soaked. She grabbed the holy water and splashed it at the walls. "In the name of the Father." The blood hissed, evaporated in places, but more came. More. Then she turned it and the figure was standing there. Not the doll, not the girl. Something behind the girl. A tall, shadowed form, faceless, featureless, eyes like burning coal. And in its arms the doll. It stepped forward. Donna raised the cross. By his name, I command you of this place. The figure stopped, paused. Then it began to melt slowly, like wax under fire. The doll dropped to the ground with a thud. Silence. Everything went still. The blood was gone. The smell was gone. The figure was gone. Donna collapsed to the floor, shaking. She didn't sleep that night, but she didn't wake up at 3:08 either. The next morning, the house was normal. No cold spots, no strange notes, no voices. She walked through each room slowly. Everything was exactly as she'd left it, except one thing. On her bedside table was the crucifix Father Raymond had given her, untouched, and beneath it another note. But this time, the handwriting was different, clean, elegant. It said, "She won't come back, but others might." The note that said, "Help me." The apartment had finally gone still. No more whispering through the walls, no blood dripping from the corners, no footsteps at 3:08 a.m. For once, Donna thought it might really be over. The crucifix remained untouched on her nightstand. Angie returned after a few days, visibly cautious but relieved. The place felt brighter somehow, less heavy. They even laughed again, cooked dinner, turned music back on. It felt like life was beginning to repair itself, until the note appeared. It was a Tuesday morning. Donna had just come back from the hospital. Angie was in the kitchen making coffee. On the hallway floor, folded once, lying as if it had just slipped through the cracks of reality, was a small piece of paper. Donna froze. It was cream-colored, slightly yellowed, the edges torn, like it had been pulled from an old notebook. The handwriting childish, but not messy. 3 words. "Help me, please." Angie appeared behind her, coffee mug in hand. Her eyes widened when she saw the note. Where did that come from? Donna didn't speak. She picked it up slowly, as if expecting it to burn her. Her fingers trembled. The note was warm. Not hot, just warm, like someone had held it moments earlier. That warmth wasn't normal. Neither of them said a word. They just stared at each other. And deep down, both knew something had come back. They searched the apartment, every drawer, closet, under every bed. Nothing was out of place. No dolls, no marks, no smells, nothing. But that night, the dreams returned. Donna saw a hallway that didn't belong to any place she knew. Narrow, wooden, endless. At the far end stood a girl in a tattered dress, facing away. Donna walked toward her, each step echoing loudly. The girl didn't move. She just stood, arms hanging limply, hair covering her face. Then she turned slow. Her eyes were hollow, her mouth sewn shut. She raised one hand and pointed behind Donna. Donna spun around. Standing there was the doll, but not Raggedy Ann. It was smaller, crude, stuffed with black thread and buttons for eyes stitched into a grotesque smile. The doll moved. It tilted its head. Then it whispered, not with its mouth, but through the air itself. "You brought us here." Donna woke with a gasp. Her room was dark, silent, no signs of movement. She sat up, reached for the lamp. It didn't turn on. Then she saw something at the edge of her nightstand. Another note. "Help her." The same handwriting. In the morning, she showed Angie. Her friend was pale, silent. The same fear returned to her eyes. "I thought it was gone," Angie whispered. "I thought we won." "I think we did," Donna replied. "But maybe it wasn't just one." Angie blinked. "What do you mean?" Donna stared down at the note. Maybe the thing inside the doll wasn't alone. They returned to the Warrens, sat down at their kitchen table. The Warrenwood covered in old case files, books, and holy relics. Lorraine read the notes carefully, then closed her eyes for a moment. She said nothing at first, just held the paper between her fingers. "I don't think this is from the same entity," she finally said. "The energy is different." Ed leaned forward. "This feels like a cry, not a threat. There may be another spirit trying to reach out." "Another spirit," Angie said. How many of them are there? Lorraine looked up. In cases like this, it's never just one. When a portal is open through invitation, pain, or attention, other things take notice. They attach themselves to it. Donna swallowed hard. You're saying we open something bigger than just the doll? I'm saying something else might be stuck on the other side, Lorraine replied. And now that the dominant force is gone, the others are stepping forward. Ed added, it could be a lost soul, a real one, not pretending. Back home, Donna began digging. Old archives, newspaper clippings, deaths in the building, murders, missing children. She found something. In 1943, long before the apartment complex existed, the land had been part of a settlement camp during the war. One report mentioned a small fire. A makeshift orphanage had burned to the ground. The article was brief. Most of the camp's records were lost, but one name stood out. Annabelle Higgins, age 7, presumed dead, body not recovered. Donna stared at the clipping. Her hands went numb. The name wasn't just coincidence. Could there have really been an Annabelle? That night, Donna sat in the center of her room. No candles, no prayers, just silence and the note in her lap. Who are you? She whispered. The room was still. Then the faintest sound. Paper sliding across wood. She turned. Another note lay at the door. Below. She opened the door, looked around. Nothing. She followed the hallway to the basement stairwell. Angie didn't want her to go, but Donna had made up her mind. She took a flashlight and stepped into the dark. The basement was cold, silent, concrete and dust. The air felt old, thick with stories no one wanted to tell. The flashlight flickered as Donna moved slowly through the rows of old storage cages. Most were locked, forgotten furniture, dusty boxes, broken toys. She turned a corner and stopped. A single wooden box sat in the middle of the hallway. No label, no lock. Just sitting there, waiting. Donna stepped forward. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the lid. Inside was a doll. Not Annabelle. This one was handmade, stitched together from cloth scraps, with buttons for eyes and a crooked smile. Stuffed in beside it were more notes. Some yellowed with age, some newer. Each one said the same thing. Help me. I'm trapped. She won't let me go. Donna pulled out the last note. It had a small, childlike drawing on the back, a girl holding a doll, crying. Then came the voice, a whisper in her ear, but no breath behind it. She's still here. Donna backed away, ran up the stairs, the box clutched in her arms. She didn't stop until she was back in her room, Angie staring at her in shock. What is that? Angie asked. I don't know, Donna whispered. But someone put her there. Someone that needs help. Angie took the doll and turned it over. On its back, stitched in faded thread, was a single word. Clara. They brought the box to the Warrens the next morning. Lorraine's face turned white as she opened it. She was hiding, she said. The spirit Clara, she was overshadowed, silenced by the darkness around her. Donna held up the notes. I think she's the one that was whispering. The one that kept writing after Annabelle was taken. Ed examined the new doll. This isn't a cursed object. It's a container. She bound herself to it. Maybe to survive. Can she be freed? Angie asked. Lorraine nodded. But we need to help her cross. And we have to do it before something else finds her again. That night, the Warrens prepared a ceremony. Not an exorcism, but a release. They created a circle of salt, candles, and sacred icons. Clara's doll was placed in the center. Donna sat nearby, holding the original note. Help me. Lorraine's voice was soft, steady. She called out with prayer, light, kindness. If you are here, Clara, you are safe now. You are not alone. You are seen. You are loved. The candles flickered. Then one by one went out, and a small, cold wind brushed past Donna's cheek, like fingers, like a goodbye. The room grew still. Lorraine opened her eyes. She's gone. Gone but not forgotten. In the weeks that followed, Nothing returned. No knocks, no footsteps, no blood. But sometimes Donna would find a single note on her pillow. Never threatening, never fearful. Just one word. Thanks. Shadows behind the curtain. Peace didn't last long. Clara had been released. Yes, but something else had taken notice. Something that had been waiting in the quiet. Watching. Patient. Donna didn't realize it at first. It began with small things again. Curtains swaying when no windows were open. Cold drafts in the middle of warm nights. The scent of smoke, like burnt wood, drifting in and out of the kitchen. But what made her stop and take notice happened one morning, just after dawn. She woke up to the sound of fabric brushing across the floor. Soft, repetitive, back and forth. She sat up slowly and glanced around her room. Nothing was moving. Then she saw it. The curtains, drawn tight the night before, they now hung open, exposing the frosted glass window behind them. But the strange part wasn't that they were open. It was that something had written in the condensation on the window. Two simple words. Look deeper. Angie wasn't home that morning. Donna sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the message. She wiped the glass clean, but the pressure in the room remained. The kind of pressure that fills your ears before a storm, like something about to burst. She closed the window, drew the curtains tight, lit one of the small blessed candles Father Raymond had given her. For a moment, she just sat there, thinking. Then she noticed something else. The shadow. It was faint, barely visible behind the curtain's thin fabric. It looked like the silhouette of a figure standing just on the other side of the window. Tall, still, watching. But it was at night, and there was nothing behind her window but a solid wall of brick from the building next door. Donna stepped forward, every part of her body tense. She flung the curtain open. Nothing. Just the glass, no marks, no silhouette. But her own reflection looked wrong. It was her face but not her expression. She wasn't scared. Her reflection was smiling. Slow, wide, unnatural. She stepped back quickly, and her reflection did not move. Not right away. It stayed frozen for half a second longer than it should have. And then it caught up. Later that day, Angie returned. Donna didn't mention the reflection. Not yet. Instead, she asked a question. Do you ever feel like something's watching us again? Angie nodded instantly. Last night, I was brushing my teeth and saw a shadow move behind me. I turned around, nothing. But when I looked back, the mirror had fogged up. There was a handprint. They both stared at each other. No wind, no smoke, no sound. But the apartment had grown cold. Again. That night, Donna tried something new. She placed a camera in her room. Low light. Motion triggered. She didn't sleep well, hadn't in weeks, but she managed to drift off after 2 a.m. At 3:08 a.m., the camera clicked on. Later, when she reviewed the footage, she saw it. The curtain moved. Slightly. There was no wind, no movement in the room. But the fabric drew back just a few inches, and for a fraction of a second, something stepped into view. Not a full figure, just a hint of it. A shape tall, thin, and draped in something like black smoke. No visible features, no face. Just two glowing spots where eyes might have been. And then it was gone. No noise, no movement, no explanation. Donna froze the video, took a screenshot, enlarged it. But the more she looked, the less sense it made. The figure didn't look like it belonged to the room. The shadows didn't match the lighting. It was as if it had been pasted from another dimension. An echo of something not quite here, but almost. They went back to the Warrens the next morning. Ed took one look at the screenshot and immediately pulled out a book, old, thick, bound in red leather. He flipped through pages until he stopped at an illustration. A figure cloaked in black mist, no features, just the eyes. This, Ed said, is called the Watcher. Lorraine stepped closer. He's not a demon, not in the way most think. He doesn't attack, doesn't speak. He observes. He appears when doors are open and once seen, he tends to stay. Donna leaned in. Is he dangerous? He becomes dangerous if you notice him too long. If you invite him in with curiosity. He doesn't come through for he waits for permission. Angie's voice shook. So what do we do now? Lorraine's voice was gentle, but firm. You close the curtain, literally and spiritually. You stop looking. They followed every instruction. Covered mirrors, burned incense, placed white cloths over windows, salt along the door frames, candles in every room. For 2 nights, the apartment was quiet. Then the dreams returned. Not of dolls, not of children. This time, Donna dreamed of a long, dark hallway made of curtains. Endless rows of fabric, swaying without wind. She walked between them. Soft whispers came from behind the fabric, but no matter how fast she turned, she never saw what was making them. Then she reached the end. There stood the Watcher. He didn't move, didn't blink, just stood, as if waiting for her to speak. She opened her mouth, nothing came out. Then from behind the curtains, dozens of hands reached out, grabbing, pulling, and she woke up, drenched in sweat. That morning, something changed in Donna. A strange numbness, like her thoughts weren't fully her own. Angie noticed. You okay? Donna nodded slowly. Yeah, just tired. But her voice sounded hollow. She spent hours staring at the curtains. Even when Angie tried to distract her, she glanced back like something was pulling her attention. And once, Angie found her standing in front of the window, the curtain drawn open, Donna's hand resting on the glass. Whispering, Angie pulled her back. Who were you talking to? Donna blinked, confused. I don't know. They called Father Raymond. He came immediately, performed a full blessing room by room, sprinkled holy water on the windows, placed a mirror face down on the table and covered it with cloth. After he finished, he pulled Donna aside. Has anything changed in you? He asked. Donna hesitated. I think about the curtain a lot. I know it's crazy, but I feel like something's waiting behind it. Just waiting for me to open it again. He looked at her gently. That's how it starts. The Watcher doesn't force anything. He makes you want to look. Why? Because once you truly see him, stays forever. That night, Donna made a decision. She placed the camera back in position. But this time, she also set up a large mirror across from the curtain. She covered both with cloth, sat in the middle of the room, Bible in her lap, and she spoke aloud. I revoke any invitation. You are not welcome. You are not mine, and I am not yours. The room stayed silent, but the air thinned. A quiet pressure returned. She stood, turned toward the curtain. It swayed. She didn't touch it. Instead, she walked backward, grabbed the cloth, and without hesitation, she covered the curtain. At 3:08 a.m., the camera clicked on, but this time, no shadow appeared. Instead, the curtain stayed still, and in the morning, the cloth remained. Donna reviewed the footage. There was no figure, but just as the recording ended, one faint frame appeared, a reflection. In the mirror, for just half a second, stood a tall silhouette, watching from the other side. But this time, it wasn't smiling. It looked disappointed, and then it faded. The Watcher never returned, but Donna kept the curtain covered. Always. The medium's warning. It had been 2 weeks since Donna last saw the Watcher. The apartment was quiet. No shadows behind the curtains. No strange notes. But quiet doesn't always mean safe. And Donna knew that. Angie had started sleeping at her sister's again. She said it was just for a few days. But Donna could hear the fear in her voice. It was a quiet fear now. Not the panic kind, but the slow, patient fear of someone who knows the storm isn't over, because something else had begun. Donna was having dreams again, but not of dolls or curtains. This time, it was of fire, and a voice, a woman's voice, muffled and distant, whispering the same words over and over again. Don't trust the silence. She didn't tell Angie right away. She didn't want to worry her. Instead, she reached out to the Warrens. They answered immediately. But this time, Lorraine had a different suggestion. "I want to bring someone in," she said. "Someone who can see what we can't. A medium." Donna hesitated. "Like a psychic?" "Not just a psychic," Lorraine replied. "A sensitive. She doesn't tell the future, she reads the past. And she can feel what lingers in a place. I trust her." Her name was Mara Lynn. She was older Mabe, in her late 60s, but carried herself with grace. Her voice was soft, her eyes deep and calm, like she'd seen far more than she ever spoke about. She didn't bring any tools, no crystals, no pendulums, no incense. Just a notebook and a necklace with a small silver charm. When she stepped into Donna's apartment, she stopped in the doorway. Didn't say a word for a full minute. Then she whispered, "It's not gone, it's hiding." Donna led her through the apartment. Room by room, Mara touched walls, glanced at corners, nodded silently. But when she stepped into Donna's bedroom, she froze. Her hand hovered over the curtain still covered by a white cloth. "This is where it likes to wait," she said. "Not because it belongs here, but because it was invited here." Something else opened the door, and this one stepped through while no one was looking. Donna's throat tightened. "The Watcher?" Mara shook her head. "No, something older, something smarter. The Watcher just watches. This one listens." She sat at the edge of Donna's bed, closed her eyes, and stayed still for several long minutes. Then she opened her notebook and began to write. Each word came slowly, like it was being dictated from somewhere else. She let him speak. He speaks through silence. It wears their faces. It learns through fear. He wants a voice, and once he has one, he'll never leave. Donna read over her shoulder. "Who's he?" Mara's voice was distant. "The one beneath it all. The one you haven't seen yet. The others were just distractions. Small pieces of what he uses to pull your mind apart." "Why me?" Donna asked. Mara looked at her for a long moment. "Because you heard him. That first time, when the doll moved, when you said yes. You weren't just talking to Annabelle, you were talking to him." Donna sat down, feeling the weight settle on her chest. "What does he want from me?" "Not your body," Mara whispered. "Your voice, your will. He wants you to speak for him, to believe what he shows you. That's the beginning of possession, not through rage, not through violence, through agreement." That night, Mara stayed. She slept in the living room, a candle burning beside her and a circle of white salt around her blanket. Donna watched her from the hallway before bed. Mara's eyes were closed, but her mouth moved, whispering prayers under her breath. Donna slept uneasily, and once again, the dream returned. The fire, the voice. But this time, the voice was clearer. It wasn't the woman. It was a man. "Let me speak." The flames roared higher. "Say it, give me your voice." When Donna woke, her throat was sore, and on the wall above her bed, something had been scratched into the paint. "Speak for me." She ran to the living room. Mara was already awake, sitting cross-legged, eyes wide open. "I felt it," she said. "He's closer now. Something happened last night." Donna pointed to the wall. Mara stood, walked to the bedroom, and stared at the message. "His patience is thinning." She turned to Donna. "We need to act now." The next morning, Mara brought Lorraine and Ed back. They prepared a different kind of session this time. Not a blessing, not a cleansing, a binding. They weren't trying to push the spirit away. They were trying to trap it, lock it from growing stronger by feeding on Donna's attention. They placed blessed chains around the base of the bed, salt lines, a mirror facing the doorway. Donna sat in the center, a prayer in her lap. Mara knelt beside her. "You'll hear him," she said. "He will show you things, but do not answer, not even in your mind. Do not react. Do not feel for him. He's not what he shows." The session began quietly. The candlelight flickered. Lorraine whispered verses under her breath. Then the shadows thickened. The air dropped by 15 degrees in seconds. and the curtains began to sway despite no wind, no movement. Donna's ears rang, her vision blurred. Then it came. She didn't see him at first. She felt him. A pressure behind her eyes, like something large and ancient was pressing its thoughts into her skull. Then his voice. Not loud, not cruel. You've already said yes. She didn't move, didn't breathe. The voice came again. Say it again. The candle blew out. The mirror cracked. Mara gripped Donna's hand tightly. Say the words, she commanded. Donna read from the page. You are not welcome. You are not mine. You have no right here. The walls shook. The sound of tearing paper filled the air. Then came the screaming. Not from Donna, not from Mara. From inside the walls. As if something huge was being torn apart. Something old. Then silence. Utter silence. The curtain dropped to the floor. The mirror stopped vibrating. And a black mass like smoke rose from under the bed, curled once in the air, and vanished. The session ended. Ed stepped forward. Lorraine knelt to touch the floor. And Mara, pale and exhausted, whispered, It's sealed, for now. They cleaned the apartment, removed the lines, replaced the broken mirror. Mara sat with Donna one last time before leaving. He's not gone, she said. He's just locked out. But locks wear down when watched too long. Donna nodded. So what now? Mara looked into her eyes. You live, you breathe. You focus on the light. You don't seek. Don't question. And above all, her voice dropped. You don't answer when the silence calls your name. That night, Donna slept. And for the first time in months she didn't dream. Trapped with Annabelle. The apartment was quiet now. But Donna could feel the weight of silence, like a thick fog pressing against her chest. It had been days since the binding ritual with Mara, Lorraine, and Ed. Yet she hadn't felt truly free. The shadow in her mind lingered. The voice in the silence still calling faintly. She sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the white cloth still draped over the curtains. The glow of the single candle flickered softly, casting long, trembling shadows that seemed to stretch beyond the room itself. She felt it then, a chill crawling up her spine, a cold presence, so near she could almost hear its breath. Her heart began to race, pounding in her ears as if warning her to run. But her body stayed still, frozen with dread. From the corner of the room, she saw it, the doll. Not the small handmade one from the basement this time, but Annabelle, the one they had locked away, sealed with every blessing the Warrens could muster. It sat on the dresser, unnervingly still, yet somehow watching. Her breath caught, the air thickened. She could almost hear the faintest whisper curling around the edges of the room, a soft, beckoning voice just beyond understanding. Suddenly, the candle flickered violently and went out, plunging the room into darkness. A faint glow pulsed from the doll's glass case. The metal lock rattled softly, and then, with a sound like a whispering sigh, the glass slid open. Donna's eyes widened in horror as the doll's head turned ever so slightly toward her. Frozen in place, Donna couldn't scream, couldn't move. The presence flooded the room, a suffocating pressure squeezing the air from her lungs. The faint voice grew louder, now a haunting melody that seemed to crawl inside her mind. You welcomed me, it whispered. Now you belong to me. Suddenly, the room warped around her. The walls seemed to bend, closing in. The candlelight blinked out, replaced by a cold, sickly glow that came from nowhere and everywhere. Donna felt herself pulled forward, no longer in her room, but somewhere else, a dark, twisting space. A liminal realm where time and reality blurred. She was trapped. Before her stood Annabelle, but not the doll she knew. This version was larger, more menacing. Its cracked porcelain face twisted into a cruel grin. Eyes black voids swirling with malevolent intent. You cannot escape, it hissed. You invited me in. Now you are mine. Donna's mind screamed to wake, to break free, but her body was weightless, tethered to this nightmare world. Suddenly, the doll vanished. replaced by a swarm of shadowy figures, twisted faces and hands reaching, clawing, their mouths opening in silent screams. The whispers became a chorus, filling Donna's head with fragmented voices, memories that weren't hers. A child's laughter, a woman's sobs, the crackle of fire. She realized these were the trapped souls, victims bound to the doll's curse. Panic surged, but Donna forced herself to focus. She remembered Mara's words: "Do not react. Do not answer. Do not give it power." Steeling her resolve, she spoke softly inside her mind. "You have no power over me." The shadows recoiled, and the chorus dimmed. Annabelle reappeared, its grin faltering. Donna took a step forward, and the realm around her shuddered. A faint light appeared, growing steadily as if responding to her defiance. "You are not my prisoner," she whispered. "You are a lost thing, and I will free you." The doll's black eyes seemed to flare with rage, but then a flicker of something else, fear, passed through them. Suddenly, the dark space began to collapse. Donna felt herself pulled backward, through the void, back toward her apartment. She gasped awake, sitting upright in bed. Sweat dripped down her face as the morning sun streamed weakly through the curtains. The doll sat innocently in its case, locked tight. The white cloth still covered the window. Her heart still raced, but she felt a strange calm settling inside her. She was free for now, but she knew the battle was far from over. Days passed. Donna continued her daily routines, but she never let her guard down. The presence was always near, lurking in the edges of her vision, a constant reminder that Annabelle was watching. She kept the curtains covered, the salt lines intact, and the holy relics close. Every night, she read prayers aloud, the words a shield against the darkness threatening to consume her. One evening, Angie returned, tentative but hopeful. "I missed you," she said, wrapping Donna in a cautious hug. Donna smiled weakly. "I missed you too." But as Angie settled in, the air grew heavy. The old feeling returned, the whisper of cold breath, the faint rustle of movement unseen. That night, Donna awoke once more. The doll's glass case cracked at the corner. The lock was intact, but the damage was unmistakable. A message scratched into the wood frame: "I'm still here." Donna knew then that Annabelle was no longer just a doll. It was a force, a presence, an entity that could slip through cracks in reality and haunt her life as long as she lived. But she would not give up. She would fight, and one day she would break free. The priest falls silent. The crack in the glass case was a small, sharp reminder. It hadn't shattered completely, but that single fracture was enough to send a chill down Donna's spine. She ran her fingers along the edge, careful not to touch the jagged line. The doll sat perfectly still inside, as if waiting for something. The days since had grown darker, shadows stretched longer, the whispers were louder. Even the air felt heavier, thick like fog curling inside her lungs. Donna knew the battle wasn't over, not even close. So she called Father Raymond again. The priest had been a constant presence through all this, a steady light in the storm. But this time when she reached him, his voice was different, tired, quiet. "Donna," he said slowly, "I've been praying, asking for guidance." She waited, heart pounding. Then he sighed. "There's something I can't explain. Since the last blessing, I feel silenced." "Silenced?" Donna echoed, confused. "Yes, like you can't speak." "No, worse. It's like a weight pressing down on my voice. Like something is blocking me." Donna swallowed hard. "Are you okay?" "I'm not sure." There was a pause. I think it's connected to Annabelle." That evening, Donna prepared herself for the worst. She lit candles around the apartment, ranged the relics, and kept the salt lines refreshed. But the feeling of dread gnawed at her, sharp and relentless. Her phone buzzed, a message. It was Father Raymond. "Meet me at the chapel, urgent." The chapel was dark and cold when Donna arrived. The heavy wooden doors creaked as she pushed them open. Inside, The silence felt unnatural to deep. She found Father Raymond sitting in a pew, head bowed. When he looked up, his eyes were hollow, his face pale. "Donna," he whispered, "I don't know how much longer I can do this." She sat beside him. "Do what?" He shook his head. "There's a darkness here, stronger than I've ever faced. It's in the doll, yes, but it's also inside me now." Donna's heart raced. "How?" He looked away, struggling for words. "It started after the last blessing. I tried to speak the prayers, but the words wouldn't come. Then I heard whispers, voices behind the silence. Voices, yes, calling me, promising power, promising peace if I let go." Donna reached out, grabbing his hand. "You can fight this." He shook his head, a bitter smile touching his lips. "It's more than that. I feel trapped." Days passed with no sign from Father Raymond. Donna called him repeatedly, but the line always went to voicemail. Worse, friends and parishioners said the priest hadn't been seen at the church. The Warrens arrived, concern etched deep in their faces. Lorraine took Donna aside. "This darkness," she said quietly, "it's growing. It's not just an attachment anymore. It's a presence feeding on faith and fear alike." Ed added, "If it's silencing a priest, we're dealing with something ancient." Donna clenched her fists. "We have to save him." They organized a plan, a cleansing ritual, more intense than any before. At the chapel, the place Father Raymond had called home, the night of the ritual arrived. Donna, Angie, Lorraine, and Ed stood in the darkened chapel, candles flickering around the altar. The air was cold, oppressive. They began with prayers, voices steady but low. Then Lorraine called out loud, clear, "Father Raymond, if you are here, show yourself." Minutes passed. Then footsteps echoed. Slow, heavy. From the back of the chapel emerged Father Raymond. But he was changed. His eyes were black pools. His movements jerky, unnatural. A low growl escaped his lips. Lorraine stepped forward, holding a crucifix high. "Father, fight this, you are stronger." The priest snarled and lunged forward, knocking the crucifix away. Ed stepped in, holding holy water, splashing it across the floor. The darkness hissed, recoiling. But Father Raymond growled, voice no longer his own. "You cannot save her." Donna's breath caught. "Who?" The priest's face twisted into a cruel grin. "The girl who opened the door. Me." The voice the darkness laughed. "Yes, your voice, your will." A fierce battle began. The group prayed louder. Candles blazed. Salt lines glowed white. But Father Raymond advanced, stronger than before. He knocked Donna to the floor. "Say the words," the darkness hissed through him. "Join me." Donna shook her head, tears streaming. "No." Suddenly, Lorraine stepped between them. She held out a small vial. "Here, Donna, drink." Confused but trusting, Donna swallowed the holy water mixed with blessed oils. The warmth spread through her veins. Her fear faded. Her voice grew stronger. She stood, facing Father Raymond. "You're not alone," she said firmly. "Fight it." Father Raymond's eyes flickered for a moment. The man she knew returned. He gasped, stumbling backward. The dark presence shrieked, releasing its hold. The priest collapsed to the floor, exhausted but free. Weeks later, Father Raymond returned to his church. He was quiet, changed but alive. He thanked Donna and the Warrens, warning them, "This darkness sleeps, but it will wake again. The fight is never truly over." Donna nodded. She looked at the doll now locked behind triple-sealed glass. She knew his words were true, but she also knew she was no longer afraid. She smiled last night. The night air was thick with silence, the kind that presses down on your chest and refuses to lift. Donna lay awake in her bed, staring at the ceiling, her mind racing with every nightmare she'd faced in the past weeks. The battle with the darkness inside Father Raymond, the whispered voices, the shadows behind the curtains, it all seemed endless. Yet tonight, something felt different. The room was colder, but not hostile, quiet, but not empty. The candle beside her flickered once and then burned steady, as if sensing the change. Donna's eyes drifted to the corner where the doll Annabelle sat, still locked in her glass case. She hadn't dared to look directly at it for days, fearing the curse might creep out from the cracks in the glass. But tonight, the doll seemed almost peaceful, almost alive. Suddenly, Donna's phone buzzed on the bedside table. A message from Angie. "Check your window, now." Heart pounding, Donna pushed back the covers and got up. The floor felt cold beneath her feet as she walked to the window, pulling back the white cloth covering the curtains. Her breath caught. Written in the condensation on the glass, in neat childlike letters, were the words, "I smiled last night." A shiver ran down Donna's spine. She wiped the glass clean, but the message remained, faint but undeniable. The feeling of being watched returned instantly, that heavy gaze settling on her, like a physical weight. She turned sharply, her eyes darting across the room. Nothing moved, or so she thought. The next day, Donna shared the message with Angie and the Warrens. Lorraine frowned deeply as she examined the photo Donna had taken. "That's new," she said quietly. "The entity is reaching out in a different way. Annabelle isn't just haunting anymore, she's trying to communicate." Ed nodded. "And that message, it's chilling. It suggests the entity is aware. It's conscious of its actions." Donna swallowed hard. "What does it want? Why tell me?" She smiled. Lorraine's eyes darkened. "It's a warning. A reminder that the evil isn't gone, that it's watching, waiting." That night, Donna decided to confront the fear head-on. She prepared the room carefully, lighting candles and placing salt lines in every doorway. She sat near Annabelle's case, clutching a small crucifix Lorraine had blessed. "Annabelle," Donna whispered, her voice trembling, "what do you want from me?" For a moment, nothing. Then the air shifted. The candle flames flickered wildly, casting dancing shadows on the walls. The glass case trembled softly, and the doll's head turned slowly toward Donna, its cracked porcelain face twisting into a grotesque smile. Donna's heart hammered. She forced herself to stay calm. "I'm not afraid of you," she said. A faint voice echoed through the room, barely audible, but unmistakable. "You shouldn't be." Over the following days, strange things escalated. Objects moved on their own. Doors slammed shut. Whispers floated through empty rooms. But most disturbing was the laughter. Soft, childish giggles that echoed at night, sometimes just beyond the edge of hearing. Donna's dreams became filled with a dark forest, the trees twisting into shapes of eyes and teeth. And always, the doll's smile haunted her. One evening, Donna returned home late. The apartment was cold, the air thick with the scent of burnt incense. She noticed immediately the white cloth had been pulled back from the curtains. Her breath caught. The message was back on the window, freshly written. "She smiled last night. Did you see?" Donna shivered but refused to look away. "I see you," she whispered. Suddenly, the lights flickered, then went out, plunging the apartment into darkness. A shadow moved near the window, tall and thin, barely visible. Donna's heart raced as she stepped forward, holding her crucifix tight. "Show yourself," she demanded. For a moment, silence. Then a cold breeze swept through the room, carrying the faintest sound of a child's voice. "I'm still here." Donna didn't sleep that night. She sat in the living room, surrounded by candles and relics. The doll's glass case remained sealed, but Donna knew the evil was not contained. It was growing, waiting. The next morning, Angie arrived with news. Father Raymond had disappeared. His church was found empty, the doors swinging open. No sign of struggle, no note. Just a lingering sense of dread. The Warrens organized a search and a prayer vigil. Lorraine's face was grave as she explained. "The darkness wants to isolate you, to cut you off from those who protect you." Ed nodded. "We need to strengthen the barriers, pray without ceasing." Donna felt exhaustion settle deep in her bones. Yet, she refused to give up. Days later, Donna awoke to a faint glow in her room. The doll's case was cracked further. A single finger-length fracture spider-webbed across the glass. On her pillow, a note. "I smiled last night. You will soon." Donna's eyes filled with tears. Not of fear, but of resolve. She whispered, "I won't let you win." The night grew darker, but Donna's will burned brighter than ever. Surrounded by light and love, she prepared to face the evil that smiled from the shadows. Because she knew one thing with absolute certainty. No matter how dark the night, she would be the last to smile. Banished, but not gone. The sun had barely risen when Donna stood before the broken glass case. Annabelle was still inside, but something had changed. The air no longer just felt cold, it was cold. Her breath visibly swirling around her face in the early morning light. She reached toward the jagged crack running across the front of the case. Her fingers stopped just short, trembling. That message still echoed in her mind. "I smiled last night. You will soon." It wasn't just a threat, it was a promise. Later that day, the Warrens returned. Lorraine examined the case closely, her face unreadable. "She's weakening the barrier," Lorraine said. "The crack isn't just physical, it's spiritual." Ed nodded grimly. "We need to act fast. We've contained her before, but this is different. She's no longer passive, she's reaching." Donna stood behind them, exhausted but firm. "What do we do?" Lorraine turned to her. "We banish her, completely. But that requires more than faith, it needs your will. She attached to you, Donna. You opened the door." Donna didn't argue. She had accepted the truth weeks ago. "I'll do whatever it takes," she said. The plan was set, a full banishment ritual. Unlike the earlier blessings and bindings, this one would be final. If successful, it would sever the connection between Donna and the spirit once and for all. But if it failed, Donna didn't want to think about that. The ritual began at sundown. They moved the doll still locked in the damaged cassette, a sacred circle. In the center of the apartment, symbols drawn in chalk surrounded her. Salt was poured in concentric rings, for reliction in each corner answered the space. Lorraine wore a silver chain that shimmered with blessed oil. Ed stood near the doorway with holy water in each hand. Donna stepped into the circle, her heart pounding. She had memorized the words, practiced them over and over. She couldn't afford to stumble. Lorraine began the invocation. "Spirit bound to object near us, you who dwell in shadow, step forward." The candles flickered violently, the lights dimmed. The doll twitched, just once. Donna steadied herself. Lorraine continued, her voice rising. "We name you not out of fear, but out of power. We summon you not for worship, but for banishment." A low hum filled the air, like electricity, but deeper. Then Donna spoke. "Annabelle, you came to me uninvited. You entered through fear, but I deny you now." The doll's head tilted. "You have no voice here. You have no power here. I revoke my fear. I revoke your name." A shriek rang out, not from the doll, but from everywhere. A sound that seemed to come from the walls, the air, even from inside her skull. The lights burst. The chalk symbols caught flame. The circle trembled. But Donna didn't stop. "In the name of all that is holy, I break our bond. I cast you back to the darkness." Lorraine shouted. "Now, Donna, seal it." Donna raised the small silver pendant around her neck one Father Raymond had given her, before he disappeared, and pressed it to the glass. "I banish you, Annabelle. You are not welcome. You are not real anymore." There was a blinding flash, and then silence. The kind of silence that hums in your bones. The kind that feels final. When Donna opened her eyes, the apartment was still. The salt lines unbroken. The chalk burnt, but intact. And the doll. It lay inside the case, motionless, lifeless. Donna collapsed to her knees, sobbing in relief. Lorraine and Ed rushed to her, wrapping her in blankets and prayer. "You did it," Lorraine whispered. "She's gone." Donna nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. For the first time in weeks, months, she felt like herself again. No whispers, no shadows, no cold. She was free. The next day, the Warrens took Annabelle. The case was reinforced, triple sealed with new prayers. Ed loaded it into their blessed transport container and drove it back to the Warren Occult Museum. Donna watched from her doorstep. As the van disappeared around the corner, the sunlight hit her face. It felt warm, alive. The following weeks passed in peace. Angie returned. Donna laughed again, ate, slept through the night. No more messages on the window. No more dreams of fire. Even the apartment felt different, lighter. She painted the walls, replaced the curtains, donated every object that reminded her of the darkness. Life began again. Until one night, she was cleaning out an old box of books from her closet. At the very bottom, she found a small, dusty notebook. It wasn't hers. She opened it. The pages were filled with drawing shield-like sketches of a doll, Annabelle, page after page, each one showing her in a different pose, some smiling, some screaming, some staring. Donna's hands trembled as she flipped to the last page. There, written in red ink, "Banished, but not gone." She dropped the notebook and backed away. The room felt colder again. She turned to the mirror, and for just a second, just once, saw something behind her. A small figure, wearing a white dress, standing completely still. Then it was gone. The next morning, Donna called Lorraine. "I found something," she said. "A notebook. Drawings of her." Lorraine's voice was calm, but firm. "Don't keep it. Burn it. Destroy anything she touched. She's looking for cracks, weakness. But you're stronger now." Donna nodded. "I'll take care of it." That night, she lit a fire in the small brick pit outside her apartment. She dropped the notebook in, watching as the pages curled and blackened. The drawings turned to ash, and with it, she whispered a final prayer. "You don't belong here, and you never will again." But across the state, deep in the Warren Occult Museum, in the sealed glass case, the doll's head turned ever so slightly, and for the first time in weeks, she smiled. The museum's curse begins. The Warren Occult Museum was quiet. Sunlight filtered through the dusty windows, catching on ancient glass cases and casting long, eerie shadows across the floor. Ed and Lorraine Warren stood before the newest addition, the reinforced case, that now held the infamous Annabelle doll. It sat perfectly still, nestled behind layers of blessed glass, encircled with relics, rosaries, and protective inscriptions etched into the frame. Lorraine touched the front of the case gently. "She's not gone," she whispered, "just caged." Ed nodded. "We'll never let her out again." But outside the museum, the air shifted. Something ancient had moved. 2 weeks passed. Tour groups came and went, peering curiously into the locked cases. Some gasped, others scoffed, but all of them paused longer in front of Annabelle. There was something about her, something that made people uneasy. A lingering dread, a subtle tension in the air. It started with small things. One visitor fainted in front of the case, no explanation. Another said she heard someone call her name, even though no one was nearby. A third dropped his phone. The screen showed static for hours afterward. Then a group of college students arrived. One of them, a skeptical boy named Riley, pointed and laughed. "She's just a doll," he said. "What's the worst she can do?" He tapped the glass. Twice. Everyone in the room felt the temperature drop. The lights flickered, and somewhere in the building, a door slammed shut. That night, Riley had a dream. In it, he was walking through the museum alone. But it wasn't the museum as he remembered. It was darker, endless. The cases stretched on forever. He turned to leave, but the entrance was gone. Behind him, something scraped along the floor. He turned. Annabelle was there, not inside a case, standing, smiling. He woke up screaming. His dorm room was freezing cold. though the heater was on. On his mirror, drawn in dust, were 3 words: "Don't touch me." The next day, Riley returned to the museum not to joke, but to apologize. He told Ed what had happened. Ed listened carefully, nodding. "You disrespected something you didn't understand," Ed said. "Annabelle is not a toy. She's a conduit, a link between here and something darker." Riley trembled. "Can I undo it?" Ed led him to the chapel inside the museum, a small, quiet room filled with candles and prayer. They prayed together, and for a while, the darkness faded. But not completely, because once Annabelle chooses someone, the connection never fully severs. Later that week, Lorraine noticed something strange. A crack had formed in the outer glass of Annabelle's case. Tiny, almost invisible, but definitely new. She called Ed over. He examined it, brow furrowed. "This wasn't here when we sealed her," he said. Lorraine nodded. "She's testing it, looking for a way out." Ed pressed a hand to the glass. "Not this time." They reinforced the case again: holy water, new inscriptions, double the rosaries. But the strange activity didn't stop. Security cameras blinked offline between 3 o'clock and 3:15 a.m. Motion sensors tripped in the dead of night. But when guards checked, nothing was ever there. And yet, every morning, the case had moved an inch. Just an inch. Always to the left. Always closer to the chapel. Lorraine consulted an old friend, a retired Vatican investigator named Father Matteo. He arrived quietly, dressed in black, his silver cross gleaming. He studied the doll, then turned to Ed and Lorraine. "You've contained her body," he said, "but the spirit bound to her, it's finding cracks. Not in the glass in your world." "What do you mean?" Lorraine asked. "She's not trying to escape, she's trying to spread." The next day, a museum staffer named Karen quit abruptly. She refused to give a reason, just left her keys on the desk and walked out. But later that evening, Ed found her journal left behind in the back office. The last entry read, "She watches when I clean the room. I turned off the lights yesterday, and she smiled. Not a fake smile, a real one. I'm not staying here another night." Ed closed the journal slowly. Annabelle was more active now than ever. Father Matteo performed a cleansing of the entire museum. Incense burned for hours. Candles lined every hallway. He sprinkled holy water, chanting softly as he moved. But when he reached Annabelle's case, the flame in his hand flickered violently and went out. The holy water hissed as it touched the glass, and Father Matteo staggered back. "She doesn't belong in this realm anymore," he said. "She's becoming something else." "What does that mean?" Ed asked. "She's not just a vessel. She's a nexus now, a fixed point between our world and theirs." Lorraine's face paled. "Like a portal?" "Yes," Matteo said. "And if it opens fully." He stopped, then looked directly at Ed. "Others will come through." That night, alarms rang through the museum. Security raced to the room with Annabelle's case. They found the door wide open, but the case was untouched. No damage, no signs of forced entry. Only one change. The doll's hand was raised, pressed gently against the glass, as if waving. The next morning, Lorraine made a difficult decision. "We can't keep her here anymore," she told Ed. "Then where?" Lorraine hesitated. "There's a monastery in Romania. Hidden, protected. They specialize in containing cursed objects. If anyone can keep her sealed, it's them." Ed looked at the doll. Her head was tilted slightly now, like she was listening. They prepared for transport. The crate was reinforced with iron, salt-lined panels, silver clasps, and blessed seals. But even as they loaded her into the van, the wind howled through the museum like a scream. The power flickered. One final warning. On the way to the airport, Lorraine rode in silence, her rosary clenched tightly in her hand. At a red light, she glanced over at the crate in the back of the van, and froze. Her breath fogged the inside of the window. But so did something else. Written in reverse, from inside the van. "Don't forget me." At the airport, they handed the crate over to the monks. No one said a word. The monastery's emissaries blessed the van before departure. And just like that, Annabelle was gone. But the museum didn't feel lighter. If anything, it felt emptier, as if something had left behind a hole. 2 days later, Ed received a letter from Romania. The crate had arrived, unopened, unharmed. But when the monks opened it, the doll was gone. Only the seals remained, and one single note written in Old English script: "You cannot lock away what belongs to darkness." Back at the museum, Lorraine stood alone in the chapel. The candles flickered. The mirror on the wall shimmered for a moment, and in its reflection, just behind her, a small figure in a white dress stood still, smiling. Why she still watches us. The monastery walls were lined with stone and silence. High in the Carpathian Mountains, far from cities, far from civilization, the Brotherhood of St. Michael had protected sacred relics and cursed objects for over 3 centuries. They had prepared for Annabelle. They had prayed for days before she arrived. They had built the containment chamber, a vault within a vault reinforced with holy artifacts, silver runes, and sacred geometry carved into every stone. But when the crate arrived, she wasn't inside. Just the seals, and a single parchment note that smelled faintly of old earth. "You cannot lock away what belongs to darkness." The head monk, Father Petru, had never seen a curse like it. He wrote a single letter that day and sent it to the Warrens. Back in Connecticut, Ed and Lorraine read the letter 3 times before speaking. "She's vanished," Ed said. Lorraine, her voice barely a whisper, answered, "No, she's returned." They stood in the darkened hallway of their museum, looking at the empty pedestal where the doll's reinforced case once stood. The feeling was back, heavier than before. Lorraine turned slowly and saw it. On the wall beside the chapel, a child's drawing, crayons red and black, a stick figure of a girl with black eyes, standing under the words, "I never left." That night, Donna dreamed again. Not of shadows, but of memories. She stood in her childhood room. Everything was smaller: the bed, the desk, the windows, and on the dresser, a doll. Not Annabelle, but similar. Donna walked over, heart pounding. She picked it up. The eyes blinked and whispered, "You brought me back." She woke up screaming. The room was dark and freezing. Her phone buzzed, a message from Angie. "Did you hear the knock?" Donna didn't reply. She already knew what she would find. At the front door, carved into the wood with something sharp, "It's me." The Warrens moved fast. They brought Donna back to the museum, where everything had started. The museum was empty of guests. Just the 3 of them now. Donna, Ed, Lorraine, and the presence that refused to leave. Lorraine placed a crucifix in Donna's hand. "She's not done with you," Lorraine said, "and she won't be until you face her." "Face her?" Donna asked. "How do you face a curse?" Lorraine answered simply, "You remember." Inside the chapel, candles were lit. Donna sat in the center, surrounded by protective sigils. Ed stood at one corner, Lorraine at another. They began a regression, a deep spiritual hypnosis to uncover the first moment the attachment began. Lorraine guided her gently. "Let your mind return, before the first knock, before the first fear." Donna's breath slowed. Her mind drifted, back, until she was 7 years old. She stood in a hallway, a child again, wearing a red sweater, holding a gift box in her small hands. She walked into a room filled with toys and forgotten things. She opened the box and found her, the doll, porcelain, smiling. "I remember this," Donna whispered. "I found her in my grandmother's attic." "What did you do with her?" Lorraine asked gently. I played with her. I talked to her." "And what did she say?" Donna trembled. "She said I was special." "And what did she want?" Donna's eyes flew open. "She wanted to stay." The memory broke. The candles flared. A gust of cold wind swept through the chapel. Donna screamed as she fell backward, clutching her chest. Lorraine rushed to her. Ed grabbed his cross, shouting a prayer. "She's opening the door," Lorraine yelled. "She's using the memory to return." Suddenly, all the museum lights burst. Glass shattered. In the darkness, a laugh, small, girlish, echoing through the rooms. And then, the sound of something dragging across the floor. They raced into the main room. There, sitting atop the empty pedestal, Annabelle. Not just the doll, but something else. Her figure seemed sharper, more defined, more human. Her smile wider, her eyes aware. Donna stepped forward, tears falling. "I remember you," she said. "You've been with me longer than I knew." The doll didn't move, but the air rippled. And then, in a voice like wind through dead leaves, "You never let me go." Ed stepped forward with a holy relic. "Your time is over," he commanded. "You have no place here." The lights flickered again, but the doll only smiled wider. "You invited me as a child," the voice whispered. "You protected me, named me, loved me." Donna's knees buckled. "I didn't know, I didn't mean to." But Lorraine raised her hand. "It doesn't matter what she meant. What matters is what she chooses now." Donna stood, strong, tears and resolve mixing in her voice. "I revoke my words. I break the name I gave you. I take back my love. I give you nothing." The room screamed. Not the people. The room itself. Walls groaned. Glass cracked. The pedestal split in two, and the doll caught fire. Donna stepped forward. She held the same pendant Father Raymond had once given her. She placed it in the fire, and whispered, "You are not my past. You are not my home. You are not real anymore." The flames flared once more, then died. The museum went still. Hours later, they buried the ashes, not just of the doll, but of Donna's connection. A final prayer was spoken, a final tear shed, a final silence accepted. In the weeks that followed, the museum remained quiet. No knocks, no cracks, no messages. Just the relics and memory. Lorraine would often walk the halls in the early morning, and sometimes, just sometimes, she'd stop at the empty pedestal and whisper, "Stay gone." But one night, Donna visited the museum alone. She left flowers in the chapel, said a prayer, and turned to leave. But just as she reached the exit, she paused. There on the wall, drawn in chalk, was a single circle. Inside it, 2 dots for eyes, and a smile. Nothing else. No name. No voice. Just the smile. Donna stared at it for a long time, then turned and walked away. Some say the doll was destroyed. Others say she returned to wherever darkness waits. But the truth is simpler. She was never just a doll. She was a wound, a mirror, a whisper that lingers, and in places where fear lives, she still watches. Not to hurt, not to scare, but to wait. Because sometimes, the door doesn't close all the way. And sometimes, when you look too long into the dark, it smiles back.